Hello everyone and welcome to this next LM simulation video here on YouTube. So we are returning today over to Train Sim World 2 where we still have plenty of content to cover. We have a load of routes, new trains and things to drive, and today is going to be completely new. This is going to be something that I've never really done on the channel before, a completely new route and a completely new train combo. So today we're going to be exploring the Tees Valley line, I believe it's called, over by the guys at Dovetail Games have made this. So this is a nice little line that focuses on the Saltburn, Redcar, that sort of area, including sort of the terminals, the steel terminals in and around that area, and it focuses on sort of the brunt of the freight period around there, because if you go around there now you'll get the occasional freight train, but it's nothing like it used to be. That was the home of British Rail freight for a hell of a long time, and this rendition of it, based in the 1980s, as you can see here, this scenario 1989, focuses heavily along the Class 37s, as well as the Class 20s, which used to operate on here. You can also operate the Class 101 DMUs, which also used to run along this line back in the heyday. Anyway, so today we're going to be doing this little scenario just to sort of do a full route review of Tees Valley line, something I've been waiting to do for quite a while. I'm actually quite surprised I haven't done this route before, given it involves Class 37s, and I haven't actually driven many Class 37s in Train Sim World 2, so given that they're one of my favourite locomotives, I'm very surprised at that, more surprised than I could ever be. But anyway, here we are. This is a quick 29-minute scenario, so this video is going to be around about 35 minutes long, and we're going to be driving this Class 37 haul service from Redcar to Thoresby, but we're only driving it back to Tees Yard, a train of empty coke wagons. Now, a lot of the time, these trains used to run double-headed, so there is actually quite a large percentage chance that this train could indeed be double-headed. So we're going to get going, we're going to get into this scenario. It's approximately 9:10, it is June, so this is exactly when the train is set, this is exactly when the scenario is set, its current time, although it's not 8 o'clock at night here, it's only about midday. But anyway, so this is going to be it, and I do hope you enjoy. Welcome to Tees Valley Line. So let's jump in. So you get a wealth of scenarios when you want to do your services. You obviously got to make the distinction. You get scenarios, which are set scenarios, and then you get services, which are technically scenarios, but they're not the same. So that they're not sort of a whole situations given to you. Whereas in this situation, you're just driving the train, you know. So that's what I prefer. You know, I prefer just the services. So let's jump in. If you get 500 points, you get a silver medal. If you get 1,700 points, you get if you get 500 points, you get a bronze medal. 1,700 points, you get a silver medal, and 1,950 points, you get a gold medal. So let's see how well we do. I don't really focus on that in this game. I just like to drive in and see where it takes us. So we're going to start off at Redcar Ore Terminal. So let's jump in. Lovely photo there of the Munich to Augsburg line. So we'll be jumping back into Germany at some point, don't worry. But here we are. This is the Tees Valley line. Once the scenario wants to start, there we go. Drive a train of empty coke wagons back to Tees Yard for later use. So we're here at Redcar Ore Terminal, and we're taking this service to Tees Yard. We have 19 wagons, 984.9 tonnes, we're 185.6 yards long, and we have a Class 37/5 in rail freight distribution colours. So let's jump in. Hello. You get a nice little gentleman over here who's going to be your second man for this shunting manoeuvre tonight, but it is a lovely evening here in Redcar. So let's have a look around the locomotive. So in these little service scenarios you can tend to do what you want really. The handbrake is released, so everything's pretty much set up for you, the loco is running. So let's get the cab door open and have a look outside. So this is your Class 37/5. I think it looks very nice. I'll be absolutely honest and say it's looking very grimy, which I like. I very much like that. And these HEA wagons are also looking very nice indeed. We are only single locomotives today, so no heavy hauling, but I don't mind that one bit. I think it genuinely looks very nice indeed. So yeah, I think it's time to get going. This is a beautiful little locomotive here with your depot symbol there, looking fantastic. They've done that rendering very well. And in terms of the scenery, I think it does look wonderful. So it's going to be a sort of an early or sort of late evening, nighttime scenario. This, so it's a good sort of way to measure this game. So a lot of the scenarios I do are in the daytime, but this one is going to be at night, or going into the night at least. So there we go. You've got your fact finder information for your class 37-5. We're going to jump in, jump back up the steps. We're going to open up the window, just so we've got a little bit there coming in here. And the first thing we're going to do is make sure that everything is turned on. So we're going to turn on the instrument lights. We are going to make sure the headlights are on. Instrument light dimmer is going to be put on max. We're going to turn our master key on, if I can find it. There we go, that's in. Now we're going to put our reverser into engine only. Handbrake is released. Always want to just make sure of that when you first start off. Nothing really else you need to do there. The train brake is in shutdown, so I'll put that into about 50%. That's a good place to start it. And then as you can see, the dials there will start to move, the brake pipe pressure will move, and the bogey sort of brake pipe will move as well. And that'll basically tell you that all the train brakes are working. We will have to do a running brake test. No, I don't want to give up control. I'm still working things out. Right. So let's sit in the driver's seat. I'm going to call this guy Phil, for no other reason other than I couldn't think of any other name right now. So, hi Phil, he's going to be helping with us tonight. So, let's show us into forwards. Slowly start to remove the brake. Back down to running. And then watch as the brake indicator hopefully comes down here. We don't need any brake pipe pressure because that's already gone down. We've just got to wait for these to hit 0, and then the locomotive will be able to start moving. But you do need to double check. If the loco isn't moving when you apply power, it's likely that you still have brake pressure in the dial. Oh, hello. We got something. Something just moved. Not too sure what that was, but something just moved. Anyway, there we go. So we're ready. So we're now going to put our throttle to about 7%. That'll get us going. Look at that. And hear the glorious sounds of the Class 37. So I'm just going to shut up now while I get the train moving, so you can hear the wonderful sounds of the Class 37. I will say one thing in this simulator: the wagon sounds are spot on. The locomotive sounds have always been a little bit quiet, and I've always seemed to find that in this sim. I don't know why, but there's some sort of weird issue whereby a lot of the locomotive sounds are very, very quiet. So I don't know whether that's just how my system's set up. I've not got a clue, but I've always found that ever since I was driving the Class 166 in Great Western Express when that first came out. You can barely hear that thing. That thing almost has no engine noise. The engine noise must be on about 5%, because you can't hear it at all. And it's awful, it really is. It takes away from the immersion because, yeah, you put the throttle up to 100%, but if you've got no noise to back that up, how do you know? So, anyway, so we've got a stop as indicated in approximately 1 mile, so we're going to be sort of moving out of here. This is the ore terminal at Redcar. Now, there's going to be a lot of in the cab views, but I am going to try and get some external views in when we get a little bit out into the main line, so that you can hear the Class 37 throttling up, which sounds fantastic, I can assure you of that. Even if it is a little bit quiet, it still does sound very good indeed. So looking at the route at the moment, I think it looks fantastic. There's a very grimy feel to everything in here. It's got a very dingy feel, even at night time. There's a very dark feel to this area, sort of sooty feeling in the air, which is very much how it was back in these steel terminals. They were very, very grimy places. Nothing was ever clean. Everything needs to look very weathered and used. And a lot of people, I work in the model railway business in reality, in my real life, and a lot of people like to model this period because weathering is a form of immersion for the models. And if you have a look at trains these days, I know some of them can look weathered, but nowhere near as weathered as they used to be back in the 80s and stuff, when they were pottering about with coal wagons and stuff like that. It used to be fly ash and all of that jazz. Used to be a very, very grimy industry indeed, and that's why people like to model that sort of period. So let's get ourselves back up to speed. We are seem to be losing a tad more speed than I would like. Don't want to have too much throttle because I know this thing is very capable indeed. So there you go, there's the sunset there in the distance. Very, very nice indeed. As we go into the night with our Class 37. Oh, we are speeding now. Let's take the throttle off. So there you got a nice buffer stop there. Original red BR buffer stop. Very nice indeed. And you've got some sort of chimneys, factories over here. As we merge and head out of Redcar Ore Terminal. So these HEA wagons haven't been used in quite a while. Old British Rail wagons, as you can see, completely empty. So we're just taking the empties back to T's yard for onwards transportation overnight. I'm going to guess this locomotive will probably head up double-headed when it gets to T's yard, but we'll wait and see. I don't think it needs to be double-headed. We've got more than enough power available for the journey we're doing today. But as you can see here, lovely detailing with the couplings and how they're coupled onto the wagons and the sounds of the wagons and the clunk clunk clunk. If there's one thing this game has done right, it is that. It really is fantastic. I cannot fault anything that they've done with regards to the detailing on the locomotives and the wagons. Yeah, absolutely unparalleled. Really, really, really high quality work. Which is rare, to be honest. I think Dovetail Games have been synonymous with operating a very lousy sort of substandard set of standards that they have for their content for Train Sim Classic as it is now. But I seriously think that there has been a huge increase in the quality assurance, in the quality control. There has been a lot of issues with Train Sim World 2. I'm not going to say it's been glorious the whole time. You know, particularly the Brighton Main Line, a part of the Rush Hour DLC. That DLC, a lot of people have had a lot of issues with that. I haven't driven enough of it to experience that yet, I will admit. But I'm part of the club that hasn't had any issues for now. So I hope we can keep it that way. I hope that's something to last at least. But yeah, it feels really grimy even at this time of night when it's a glorious sunset. You can see the orange glow in the distance. The skybox in this is beautiful. It really is beautiful, and I want it to have as minimal clouds as possible. Whilst the clouds are still there, you know, because they'll never be completely gone in this country, you know. If I look outside my window right now, there is nothing but clouds. There is no sun, nothing. It's grey, dingy, horrible. Typical June day, unfortunately, in this country. We don't seem to get much sun. I seem to think it seems to affect this area a lot, but elsewhere in the country it can become quite nice weather, so maybe it's just us. I'm going to take our speed down, so we are on a gradient now of 0.3%. So, one thing I haven't shown you guys is the horn. I am going to have to shut up for this because it's not the loudest thing in the world, but I'll do it from the inside and then I'll do it from the outside. So, brace yourselves. Probably won't need to, but brace yourselves. Yeah, so the horn was one thing I always said in Train Simulator was very lousy. Not something that I ever thought they'd done very well, particularly. It's very quiet, it's very minimal, not much sounds to it. Certainly in this sim, that's where the quality assurance has been thrown out the window to me, because if you do the horn inside the cab, it sounds very similar to the horn outside the cab. Whereas in reality, as you probably may well know from the Ultron Powerhouse packs, the sounds outside the cab are extremely different to those inside, because it muffles it from the inside, whereas it doesn't from the outside. But that sort of detail might not be something that you commonly get in this sim. Anyway, one thing I have noticed I haven't done is turn the AWS change gen lever on. Is there another one? Yeah, so there we go. The AWS wasn't on. We were in a yard. There's very minimal in terms of AWS action in a yard, so I wouldn't worry about that. We're turning it on now because we're heading onto the main line very shortly. This is the final road onto the main line. So we've got red coming up, which is good because we're not doing a very high speed, so it should be okay. Want to see if we can get some more sun without these buildings to get in the way. No, I think we're going to be cutting it fine here. So we're going to be lucky. Just want to make sure we've got 37508 is our beast today in its British Rail config. Lovely. As you can see there, the brake application is not so good when you've got wagons on. Just want to stop where that stop board is, but it's going to be a bit tricky to try and... Oh, it's really tricky with these 37s because it really... I tell you what, if they've done one thing right, it's the simulation of the weight to power distribution on this thing. When you're trying to brake with this many wagons, you really do feel like you're trying to do an injustice. So let's stop there. That seems to be right for me. That'll do. Lovely stuff. There we go. So we've got to stop at T's Yard, which is our next stop. We've just got the green light to go onto the main line, so we're going to acknowledge that. And let's have a hear. Already at our max speed there, so take the throttle off. That didn't take long at all, did it? And as you can probably tell, the game sound is very quiet when it comes to those locomotives. The wagons are actually louder than the loco, which is something that Train Simulator Classic couldn't quite get right. But it seems to me that they've just kind of gone in the opposite direction for this one, which is a bit bizarre, but hey. All credit to them. Very nice indeed, and that's the last wagon there, right at the very back. We even got a little old tail light down there, British Rail tail light, that's very nice. So we've got 7 miles now until T's Yard, which is where our service terminates. We can now absolutely have it, because we've got a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, coming up to 60 in a minute. Plus, we're going up a gradient, so... Indeed. Feel that power. See, it sounds very similar inside as it does outside, which to me is a bit odd. It sounds very different inside. It's very muffled in reality, but I'm not too sure if this simulator has taken that into account. Well, it said we had a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, but that doesn't look like 60 to me. That looks like, 30 or something. But you can follow your train. So we're just coming across the points now at the back. So that's been cleared. So now I'm going to put us up to notch 7 again, and there we go. We're back up to our 60. Lovely. We've got the AWS as well. That's wonderful. It's just what you need. So in case you can't hear it very loud, I am going to turn the game sound up a little bit. So yeah, that's much louder now. Definitely, I can definitely hear that now. Just want to make sure we don't wheel slip. Just got to watch out for that, because this loco is very powerful, but at the same time, when you're pulling quite a load, you can wheel slip very easily. I'd say if these wagons were actually fully loaded, this locomotive probably couldn't do it on its own. You'd probably need at least a couple of Type 3s to be able to work this, or even a Type 4 maybe. maybe a Class 47 would be put on this service. But in alternative scenarios, you have seen Class 20s on this route. So Class 20s are something we're going to cover at some point. I love them. The choppers are fantastic, especially in this game. So there's definitely something you've got to try out. But we've got, 6.5 miles until Tees Yard, where we can then clock off and have our supper. Sounding good indeed. Yeah, that is fantastic, that. Oh, we've got an AI train, hello. There's a 101. At least I think it's a 101. I'm not very good with my first generation DMUs, so we might be following something. I just saw that signal go from double yellow to green, which is good. I'll put it this way, I doubt we're going to catch up with anything given the power to weight ratio of this locomotive. But I love it. It's very, very grimy either way. You know, you've got the sun setting over there with the huge amount of, griminess and factories here, there, and everywhere. You've got more smoke going into this sky than anywhere else in the world. It is insane, the amount of industry. It feels very industrial, and that is what they were trying to get across with this route. It is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So let's watch us go past. I'm hoping we can get in front. Yeah, we can. We're only doing 40, so it should be alright. Which station's this? Oh, Grangetown. Hello. Lovely. So we'll continue. We've only got 5 miles to go now until Tees Yard. The miles are coming down, definitely. And then we'll have to navigate ourselves into the yard, which is going to be a little bit more tricky. Observing those slow speed limits as you enter the yard, which is something this locomotive is very capable, but at the same time I wouldn't want to risk it. I really wouldn't. Yeah, feeling very very industrial, especially here. You've got all the massive plants and everything here. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what, they have nailed it. I feel like I'm in Port Talbot, which is a very industrial part of Wales. As probably many people know, the steelworks there. Port Talbot's been very famous with that sort of thing, but Dorman Long. Hello, Dorman Long, whoever you are. Lovely. Yeah, this route really has a very dirty feel to it, and I like that. Nice little station there. So a lot of these little stations were set up for the works, for the the industrial plants. So if you go down this route now, in reality, there's probably a hell of a lot less stations than there used to be. In fact, between Redcar, you pretty much only got Thornaby as a station these days. I don't know what I just did there. Oh, I pressed V by mistake. No! Oh, I don't know how to turn them off. Right, this will be a lesson for you. Cab light is C. No, it's not. It's not C. Cab light is no idea. Let's have a look and see. Where is the wiper controls? Over here. Put it onto park. There we go. Turn those cab lights off. Ah, we've got some Class 20s. Very nice. Yeah, we'll be covering them on a different video, don't worry at all. Very nice indeed. Plenty of Class 20 action, which is what we want to see. There we go, I just need the speed to come down a little bit, because we've got that 50 mile an hour coming up. There we go. Superb. So we definitely got to the point where we're merging sort of the modern period into the older period, which is something. I love to see, definitely. The whole changeover between analog signalling and the newer style signalling, when you've got these semaphores going into the new colour light signals. There's lines around here, for example, the line to Hull, that even in 2022, we're only 3 or 4 years after, since, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years actually, since they've actually removed the semaphores on that line and changed over to colour light signals. And think how long colour light signals have been out. We're talking 40 plus years. It's taken them to actually upgrade that line, honestly. The technology changes, but I'm not too sure if the industry has enough to be able to keep up with it, honestly. You've got all this ERTMS and no need to have colour light signals anymore. So we've actually gone from a point in the history where we've gone from traditional semaphore signals to colour light signals to no needing to have any signals, all in the space of the same 40 years. So it's been really difficult for the industry to try and keep up with the rate of change of technology, definitely, which is why ERTMS has only been rolled out on, as far as I believe, a couple of lines in the United Kingdom, maybe 3, one in Scotland, one in Wales, Cambrian lines, and you've obviously got the Watton at Stone line there, which is the ERTMS test track. So there's a hell of a lot of change in the industry, but I don't know whether we've got enough to keep up with it really. But I'll tell you what though, this route really does, it's at that perfect moment in time when no one wanted anything to change, because you had heavy freight trains hauled by dirty diesels mixed in with these wonderful little first generation DMUs. It's a gorgeous time period to be able to model. Now I believe this is Middlesbrough station that we're coming through here. Tees Yard is literally just after Middlesbrough, so we're about 2 miles away now. This is us going through Middlesbrough station. Tell you what, that station ain't changed in years, has it? But I will say one thing. This destination display, does it work? No. I'm going to say that's a no. It says the next train is at 3:14 in the morning. Nah, I don't think so. I'd like it to be. Yeah, they are trying their best to get them to work. There is definitely people out there in Train Sim Worlds 2 developments that are focusing on trying to get those to work, to actually show the live departures. I think it's really, with those first generation DMUs hanging about, I really didn't think they had platform information displays. I thought that was something that came way later. You know, when we're talking about the 1990s, the proper, introduction of rolling displays and stuff like that. But obviously, we're at 1989. The technology may indeed be in its infancy, but it is still wonderful to see, nonetheless. Now, I'm not going to get up to 40 because there's no real point when you've got a 20 coming up very shortly anyway. But yeah, you've got the colour light signals there on the gantries. It's like the perfect time period. This, if you are going to become, maybe if you do want to have a look into railway modelling, a hugely popular time period, as I've seen myself, is this time. I went to an O-gauge modern image exhibition. When they say modern image, anything after the 80s is technically modern image. And they had a hell of a lot of layouts that were based exactly on this time period, maybe in a similar area actually, where you had double-headed Class 37s, you had 20s on freight trains. That sort of period is when you want to be. These days, everything's a shed. If it's not a shed, it's a 60. If it's not a 60, it's a 70. And if it's not a 70, it's a 59. You've only really got a handful of locomotives that do freight in this country. I'm not even going to count the 56s because Colas Rail's fleet is negligible in terms of the impact it has on the railway as a whole. So we're just going to speed here because we are a little bit fast. We have also got a 15 coming up very shortly, so I am going to be conscious of that and not apply any power. this area is wonderful. It really feels very, very urban. And this Sky mod, I believe, is by Josh Rubio, who does a hell of a lot of work for Train Sim World 2. He's released a hell of a lot of stuff, and I haven't really managed to download it yet, but I will do a whole sort of feature on third-party modifications to Train Sim World 2. That's a video that will be coming in the autumn here on LM Simulation, so I'm just wanting to get everything sort of in line first, make sure that I have all the content that I want to cover, and yeah, we can go from there. Lovely. Just keep us in line. So we've got approximately about a mile now, 1.1 miles until Tees Yard. So we're going to be sort of following this 15-mile-an-hour speed limit for a little bit. Just over a mile, and then pretty much that is us done here on Tees Valley Line. Now, all links will be in the description to this DLC. I don't believe there's any Steam sales going on at the moment, but I will always say this to everyone who's thinking about getting DLCs from Steam. Keep an eye out for the next Steam sale. me trying to read out a web address. www.whenisthenextsteamsale.com, I believe, is a website that tells you when there are predicted to be them. Steam do not publicly reveal when their sales are, because they know people will just not buy stuff and off-put. So they publicly do not release the dates if they're Steam sales. But that website has a pretty good idea of when you can expect the next one, and Steam sales are ideal to get little bits of DLC like this. Now that is not me saying this DLC is not worth it unless you have it in a Steam sale. That is not what I'm saying at all. This DLC is worth it any day, any night, full price, 100%, because the ability to drive 37s, 20s, anything like that, obviously you'll need to get the expansion pack if you want to the 20s, because the 20s are supplied separately, and not with this DLC, they're supplied in their own pack. You know, if you need the 20s involved, then the 20s will be a separate DLC, which is why I haven't covered them in this video, because this is what you get with Tees Valley Line. You'll get the 101, you'll get you know, you'll get this lovely Class 37, you'll get a few other bits, and I just want to cover exactly what you get. You also get some beautiful scenery, wonderful sort of yard scenes for you to be able to drive in. Some nice little relaxing driving where you can do a heavy freight train on the main line followed by some yard driving. It's a little bit of everything, which I think is exactly what a DLC needs. It's wonderful to be able to have something as diverse as this piece of DLC, it really is. So would I recommend you get it? 100%. This is definitely one of the better Dovetail Games DLCs that's been released. The Train Sim World quality of DLCs have been mesmerising in comparison to that of what you'll typically find over at Train Sim Classic. So there's a huge amount of stuff that's been released, and it's all very, very high quality stuff. So don't worry at all. There's always room for more. And I am very, very pleased to say that this is probably one of the better DLCs, which is why I wanted to feature it today. Anyway, but I hope you have enjoyed this video. I am going to round this off now and just say my final words. The 37, the driving, the physics, the sounds are all really, really good. It's not up to, obviously, the AP standard. You're not going to get up to the AP standard with, you know, standard DLCs from Dovetail Games, but it is very, very high quality nonetheless. The sounds are brilliant. They're really, really good for a standard product. They are fantastic. Apart from the horn, which is a little bit weird, but I like that. It does the job at the end of the day, you know, and that's all we can ask for it to do. So, would I recommend you buy it? Definitely. I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. I don't think there's really anything that they could improve apart from a bit more scenery, a bit more vegetation, a bit more AI. In the yards, definitely that sort of thing. That will knock it down to the 9. But apart from that, it's pretty much nailed everything else. Does it feel dirty? Does it feel grimy? Does it make you feel like you're in the 80s? Yes, it does. From the scenery, from the activities, everything like that, it does make me seriously feel like I'm in a different sort of, well, century, which is what it's meant to do. So, yeah, definitely. All links to this will be in the description below. As I said, always better to wait for a Steam sale to get stuff like this. I'm always up for saving people money. If you can do it, definitely. But anyway, this is me signing off, LM Simulation. This has been a fantastic little scenario for you. There's plenty of them to choose from, especially with the 101 included as well. And if you get the Class 20, you can get even more, which I definitely recommend. But in the meantime, it has been fantastic to drive you all the way from Red Coral Terminal to here in Tees Yard. Very much enjoyed bringing it to you today. And I do hope I will see you in another video here on LM Simulation. But in the meantime, I do wish you well. I do hope everyone has enjoyed this video, and all links will indeed be in the description below as per normal. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Do take care, and I will see you in the next video here on LM Simulation. All the best, do take care, and ta-ra!